A rare silver Mustang Mare, the last of her bloodline, was about to give birth in the wild Colorado mountains. But when her baby finally arrived, something was different. Something that would change everything we thought we knew about wild horses. What happened just minutes after this miraculous birth left witnesses speechless and scientists baffled. This is a story of nature's mysteries, a mother's love, and a baby born to defy all odds. The morning mist clung to the Colorado Rockies like a silver veil as wildlife photographer Sarah Chen positioned her camera on the ridge. She'd been tracking the ghost mare for 3 years, a rare silver dapple Mustang named Luna by locals, the last known horse carrying the ancient Spanish colonial bloodline that arrived for centuries ag. Oh, Luna was more than just rare. She was a living piece of history. Her unusual coat shimmered like moonlight, a genetic marvel that appeared in fewer than 1 in 10,000 wild horses. But it was her bloodline that made her truly irreplaceable. DNA tests had confirmed she carried markers from the original conquistador horses, unchanged through generations of wild breeding. Sarah had documented Luna's pregnancy for 8 months, watching her grow heavy with foal while the mare's small band protected her fiercely. The stallion, a powerful black named Storm, never left her side. He seemed to understand what everyone watching knew: this foal could be the last chance to preserve their vanishing lineage. As dawn broke across the valley, Sarah noticed Luna's behavior change. The mare paced restlessly, her sides heaving with contractions. She'd chosen her birthing spot carefully, a sheltered grove of aspens near a crystal-clear stream, hidden from predators but visible from Sarah's concealed position. The photographer's hands trembled as she adjusted her lens. In 15 years of documenting wild horses, she'd witnessed only a handful of births, but this one felt different. The weight of extinction hung in the air like the morning mist. Luna's band formed a protective circle around her. 5 mares and Storm created a living wall, their eyes scanning for danger. Even the yearlings seemed to sense the gravity of the moment, standing unusually still and alert. Through her viewfinder, Sarah saw Luna drop to the soft grass, her silver coat dark with sweat. The contractions were coming faster now. The mare's eyes held an ancient wisdom, a knowledge passed down through the countless generations of wild mothers. Then Sarah noticed something that made her heart skip a beat. Luna's movements weren't typical. Most mares gave birth quickly, instinctively knowing that vulnerability in the wild meant death. But Luna kept pausing, looking at her swollen sides with what seemed like confusion. "Something's different," Sarah whispered into her recorder. "She's acting like she's waiting for something." Storm approached Luna, touching his muzzle to hers in a gesture so tender it brought tears to Sarah's eyes. The stallion's usually fierce demeanor softened as he whinnied encouragement to his mate. As the sun climbed higher, painting the mountain, Luna's powerful body tensed as another contraction rippled through her. Sarah zoomed in, her camera capturing every detail as the mare's labor progressed. The morning sun had climbed higher, casting dappled shadows through the aspen leaves. It had been 2 hours since labor began, unusually long for a wild horse. Storm pawed the ground anxiously, his black coat gleaming with nervous sweat. The other mares maintained their protective circle, but Sarah could see their unease. In the wild, prolonged labor meant danger. Predators could smell vulnerability from miles away. Then, finally, Sarah saw the first sign: 2 tiny hooves emerging, covered in the white birth sac. Luna pushed with renewed strength, her neck arched. With effort, the foal's legs appeared, then its nose perfectly positioned for delivery. "Come on, Luna," Sarah breathed, her finger steady on the shutter button despite her racing heart. With one mighty push, Luna delivered her baby onto the soft grass. But as the foal fully emerged, Sarah gasped. Even through her telephoto lens, she could see this was no ordinary baby. The foal was silver like its mother, but its coat possessed an ethereal quality that seemed to capture and reflect light uniquely. More striking were the unusual markings: a perfect star on its forehead that appeared almost crystalline, and 4 white socks that climbed higher than typical, creating an elegant pattern like nature's own artwork. But it was the foal's size that truly set it apart. This baby was significantly smaller than normal, perhaps only 2/3 the size of a typical newborn Mustang. Yet despite its delicate frame, the foal immediately showed signs of vigor, lifting its head within. Seconds of birth, Luna turned to her baby, and Sarah captured the moment of first contact. The mare's expression transformed from exhaustion to wonder as she began cleaning her unusual offspring. Her gentle nickering filled the grove, a sound of pure maternal love that transcended species. The foal responded with a tiny whinny that seemed impossibly sweet. Storm approached cautiously, his massive frame dwarfing the tiny newcomer. The stallion sniffed the baby carefully, then threw his head back and released a powerful neigh that echoed across the valley, a declaration to the world that his offspring had arrived. What happened next made Sarah's hands shake. The foal, barely 5 minutes old, made its first attempt to stand. Most foals took multiple tries, wobbling and falling repeatedly. But this tiny creature rose on its delicate legs with an almost supernatural grace, standing steady as if it had been born knowing how. The other mares broke their circle, drawn by irresistible curiosity. Each approached to inspect this special baby. Their usual hierarchy was forgotten in the presence of this remarkable foal. They touched their muzzles to the tiny creature gently, as if blessing it. Luna stood still, weak from delivery, but driven by instinct to position herself so the foal could nurse. The baby found its source quickly, another unusual sign of its precociousness, as it nursed. Its tail, longer and more flowing than typical, swished contentedly. Sarah realized she'd been holding her breath. In hundreds of wildlife births she'd documented, she'd never seen anything quite like this. The foal wasn't just rare. Because of its bloodline, there was something genuinely different about this baby, something that defied explanation. "This changes everything," she whispered. Already knowing her footage would astound the scientific community. 10 minutes after the miraculous birth, the grove fell naturally silent. The birds stopped singing, and even the gentle breeze seemed to pause. Luna raised her head sharply from grooming her special foal, her nostrils flaring as she scented the air. Storm's entire body went rigid, his ears pinned back in alarm. Sarah swung her camera toward the tree line, searching for what had spooked the horses. Her blood ran cold as she spotted movement in the shadows, the distinctive tan coat and muscular build of a mountain lion, drawn by the scent of birth. The predator emerged from the undergrowth, a massive male easily weighing over 150 pounds, his yellow eyes fixed on the tiny foal with laser focus. This was nature at its cruelest, new life attracting death. Storm exploded into action, charging toward the lion with teeth bared. But the cat was too smart to face a furious stallion directly. It circled wide, looking for an opening. Knowing the mare would be weakened from giving birth, Luna positioned herself over her baby, who pressed against her legs, instinctively understanding the danger. The other mares formed a tighter circle, but Sarah could see their fear. Mountain lions were one of the few predators that could take down an adult horse. The cat feigned left, testing their defenses. Storm wheeled to block him, his powerful hooves striking the ground in warning. The lion retreated a few steps, but didn't leave. He had infinite patience, a skill honed by evolution. Then the impossible happened. The tiny foal stepped out from under its mother. Luna nickered frantically, trying to push her baby back, but the foal moved with that same unusual grace it had shown earlier. It walked directly toward the space between its parents, its crystalline star marking seeming to pulse with an inner light. "No, no, no," Sarah whispered, her finger frozen on the shutter. She wanted to scream a warning, but couldn't risk startling anyone and triggering an attack. The foal stopped 10 feet from where the lion crouched, its delicate legs steady despite being less than 20 minutes old. Then it did something that defied every law of nature. Sarah knew it nickered softly at the predator. The sound wasn't fearful or challenging. It was almost welcoming. The mountain lion's predatory focus wavered. His eyes, locked on the foal, began to show something Sarah had never seen in a wild predator facing prey: confusion. The cat's muscles, coiled to spring, gradually relaxed. Storm snorted aggressively, ready to attack if the lion moved 1 inch closer. But the foal nickered again, this time turning its head to look at its father as if saying, "It's okay." The mountain lion sat down, simply sat, like a house cat, his tail twitching uncertainly. His predatory instincts warred with something else, something Sarah couldn't define. The foal took another step forward, and the lion actually backed up. For 3 endless minutes, predator and prey regarded each other. The foal showed no fear, standing with a confidence that belonged to a creature much older and larger. The lion's expression shifted from hunger to something approaching bewilderment. Then, as suddenly as he'd appeared, the mountain lion turned and melted back into the forest. Not stalking, not hunting, just leaving. Sarah's hands shook as she reviewed her footage, knowing no one would believe what she'd captured without proof. Luna rushed to her foal, checking every inch while Storm paced the perimeter. But the baby seemed completely unaffected, returning to nursing as if confronting predators was perfectly normal. Word of the strange encounter spread through the mountains faster than wildfire. Sarah hadn't shared her footage yet, but somehow the wildlife knew. By afternoon, the grove had become a place of pilgrimage for the mountain's creatures. It started with the birds. Ravens, usually solitary and wary of horses, began gathering in the aspens above. They didn't call or fight over perches, they simply watched in unusual silence. Hawks circled overhead but showed no hunting behavior, their shadows passing over the foal without causing alarm. Luna grew increasingly protective as more animals appeared. A family of deer emerged from the forest, grazing closer to the wild horses than they'd ever dared. Normally, the Mustang Mares would have chased them off. Wild horses didn't share resources, but instead, they allowed the deer to approach. Sarah documented everything, her memory cards filling rapidly. Day 1, hour 4, she whispered into her recorder. I'm witnessing interspecies behavior I can't explain. Prey animals gathering near predator territory. Showing no fear response, the tiny silver foal seemed to be the center of it all. When it wasn't nursing, it would walk among the gathered animals with that same preternatural grace. A curious doe actually sniffed the baby, and Luna, fierce Luna, who had kicked a wolf last spring, merely watched. Storm maintained his guard, but even the stallion seemed affected by the strange peace settling over the grove. He'd stopped his aggressive displays, though his watchful eyes never ceased scanning for danger. As the sun reached its peak, a golden eagle landed on a low branch. Another impossibility. Eagles feared nothing, but they never came so close to large mammals without reason. The massive bird studied the foal with intelligent eyes, its head cocking back and forth. The foal noticed the eagle and walked toward it, causing Sarah's heart to race. Eagles had been known to attack young animals, their talons capable of serious damage. Luna nickered nervously but didn't intervene, as if she, too, sensed this was different. The foal stopped beneath the branch and looked up. The eagle looked down. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, they regarded each other, the ancient symbol of American freedom and the newest member of America's wild heritage. The eagle spread its wings a 7-foot span that should have terrified the baby. Instead, the foal nickered, that same welcoming sound it had made to the mountain lion. The eagle folded its wings and settled back, apparently content to simply observe. This is unprecedented, Sarah breathed. She had spent her career documenting animal behavior, but nothing in her experience explained this. Different species might occasionally ignore each other, but this act of gathering, this apparent communication, violated everything science taught about prey-predator relationships. A movement in her peripheral vision caught her attention. 3 coyotes had arrived, sitting at the grove's edge like attendees at some sacred ceremony. They showed no hunting behavior, no pack coordination, just quiet observation. Luna had given up trying to shield her baby from the visitors. The foal moved freely among them all, each animal it approached showing the same bewildered calm. Even the insects seemed affected. Butterflies landed on the baby's silver coat, decorating it like living jewels. Storm finally approached his offspring, touching his massive nose to the tiny one. The foal responded by pressing its forehead against its father's, a gesture that looked almost like a blessing being passed between generations. As Sarah changed her camera battery with trembling fingers, she realized she wasn't just documenting a rare birth anymore. She was witnessing something that would challenge humanity's understanding of the natural world. By sunset, the gathering had grown beyond anything Sarah could have imagined. Black bears sat alongside deer. Foxes lingered near rabbits, predators and prey in impossible harmony. The grove had become a neutral zone where nature's rules seemed suspended. Drive. Marcus Webb, Sarah's colleague and a seasoned wildlife biologist, had arrived after her urgent call. He stood beside her now, his scientific skepticism at war with the evidence before his eyes. "There has to be an explanation," he muttered, furiously scribbling notes. "Pheromones, perhaps, some chemical signal we can't detect." But Sarah knew it was more than that. She'd been watching the foal for hours, and patterns were emerging. The baby moved with purpose among the gathered animals, spending time with each species as if holding court, and wherever it went, it was calmly followed. "Look at its markings," Sarah pointed out. "Have you ever seen anything like them?" Marcus studied the foal through his binoculars. In the golden evening light, the baby's coat shimmered with an almost metallic sheen. The crystalline star on its forehead caught the light like a prism, scattering tiny rainbows. "The genetics alone are fascinating," Marcus murmured. "That silver-dapple gene, combined with something else, something we haven't cataloged." Luna stayed close, but she had relaxed her vigilance. The mare seemed to understand her baby was in no danger, perhaps safer than any wild foal had ever been, surrounded by nature's fiercest predators turned gentle guardians. Then the foal did something new. It walked to the center of the grove and lay down, its delicate legs folding beneath it. Within moments, animals began forming concentric circles around it. Predators in one ring, prey in another, all facing inward. "My God," Marcus whispered, "it's like they're protecting it." Storm took his position directly behind his offspring, the powerful stallion standing guard over the impossible gathering. The other Mustang mares flanked him, creating an inner circle of family. As darkness began to fall, something even more extraordinary occurred. The foal's coat began to luminesce, not brightly, but with a subtle glow, like moonlight on water. The star marking on its forehead pulsed gently, like a visible heartbeat. "Bioluminescence." "In mammals," Marcus's voice cracked, "that's impossible. Horses don't have the genetic capability." "Nothing about this foal is following the rules," Sarah interrupted. She had given up trying to rationalize what she was seeing. Sometimes, she realized, nature kept secrets that science hadn't discovered yet. The gathered animals seemed unsurprised by the gentle glow. If anything, they pressed closer, as if drawn to the light. A great horned owl landed silently, adding its presence to the growing assembly. Even the nocturnal hunters were arriving. Luna lowered herself to the ground beside her baby. Her body curved protectively round the tiny form, but her eyes held wonder, not worry. She groomed the foal tenderly, and wherever her tongue passed, the glow seemed to intensify briefly. "We need to contact the university," Marcus urged. "Get a full team out here, genetic samples, behavioral studies." "No," Sarah said firmly. "Not yet. We don't understand what we're seeing. If word gets out, this place will be overrun. The foal needs time to be whatever it's meant to be." Marcus looked ready to argue, but then the foal lifted its head and looked directly at them. Despite the distance, Sarah felt that gaze like a physical touch. Beside her, Marcus fell silent. At that moment, Sarah understood they weren't just observers anymore. They had been accepted into whatever was happening here. Witnesses, too. Something ancient and new at the same time. Dawn broke over the mountains with spectacular beauty, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. The foal had nursed throughout the night, growing visibly stronger. The assembled animals had remained, some sleeping, others maintaining a quiet vigil. It was as if the grove had become sacred ground. Sarah had barely slept, documenting through the night with her infrared cameras. The foal's subtle glow had persisted in the darkness, creating an ethereal beacon that seemed to comfort all who saw it. Even more remarkably, predators had hunted outside the grove and returned, honoring the unspoken truce within. As morning light filtered through the aspens, the foal stood and began to walk. But this wasn't the wobbly gait of a day-old baby. The tiny horse moved with fluid grace toward the creek. Its steps were deliberate and sure. Luna followed, no longer trying to direct her offspring's movements. Storm and the mares formed a loose escort while the gathered wildlife parted to create a path. Sarah and Marcus followed at a respectful distance, cameras ready. At the creek's edge, the foal lowered its delicate muzzle to drink, The moment its lips touched the water, something extraordinary happened. The creek, rushing fast with snowmelt, suddenly calmed in a perfect circle round the foal. The water became a mirror still, reflecting the baby's image with crystal clarity. Thermodynamistants worked that way, Marcus breathed. But his scientific protest had grown weaker with each impossible event. The foal raised its head, water droplets sparkling on its whiskers like diamonds. Then it turned to face the assembled crowd and released a sound unlike any hoarse vocalization Sarah had ever recorded. It was musical, almost like a chord rather than a single note, carrying across the groove with surprising power. Every animal responded. The birds burst into a dawn chorus, all at once, a symphony of different species, singing in unprecedented harmony. The coyotes howled, the elk bugled. Even the usually silent deer added their voices. The sound rose and swelled, creating a natural orchestra with the foal as its conductor. Luna added her voice, a maternal whinny that wove through all the others. Storm's powerful neigh grounded the wild music with a bass note. For one perfect moment, it was as if the mountains themselves were singing. Then, as suddenly as it began, the chorus ended. The animals fell silent, but the air still hummed with residual energy. Sarah realized she had tears streaming down her face. Beside her, the skeptical Marcus had lowered his camera. Too moved to document. The foal walked back to its mother, seemingly satisfied with whatever it had accomplished. As it moved, Sarah noticed something new where its hooves touched the ground. The grass seemed greener, more vibrant. It was subtle but undeniable, life responding to life. It's not just special, Sarah whispered. It's healing, something, bringing balance. An old Native American legend surfaced in her memory, stories of spirit horses that appeared in times of great need, bridges between the physical and spiritual worlds. She'd always dismissed them as mythology, until now. The foal nursed again, a normal baby needing its mother's milk, despite the extraordinary events surrounding it. Luna groomed her offspring with infinite tenderness, and in that moment, Sarah saw the perfect duality, the miraculous and the mundane, existing together. As the sun climbed higher, some animals began to disperse, returning to their natural patterns, but they moved differently now. Predators took paths that avoided prey as if the peace of the grove extended beyond its borders. The foal had changed them all, Sarah realized, including her. 3 days had passed since the miraculous birth. The grove had returned to relative normalcy, though animals still visited throughout the day. Drawn by something they couldn't name, the foal had grown stronger, nursing regularly and beginning to play, though its play included prancing through wildflower patches that seemed to bloom more vibrantly in its wake. Sarah had made a decision. Her footage would remain private for now, shared only with a select group of scientists. Sworn to secrecy, the foal needed protection, time to grow without the world's interference. Marcus had agreed, setting aside academic ambition for something greater. They'd observed remarkable developments. The foal's unusual abilities seemed tied to its emotional state. When content, that subtle glow radiated from its coat. When it played, flowers bloomed and butterflies gathered. When it was called, animals came, not compelled but invited. Luna had proven an exceptional mother, fierce in protection, yet allowing her special baby the freedom to explore its gifts. Storm led the band with a new purpose, keeping them in the sheltered valley rather than following traditional grazing routes. The other mares had become ants, each playing a role in raising this extraordinary child. This morning, Sarah watched the foal interact with an injured hawk they had found the day before. The bird's wing had been damaged, likely in a territorial fight. It should have been defensive, frightened. Instead, it sat calmly as the foal sniffed its feathers with infinite gentleness. What happened next made Sarah grab her camera. The foal touched its tiny nose to the hawk's injured wing, and that soft glow intensified. The bird stretched the wing experimentally, then fully, then launched into flight with a cry of freedom. That no healing should have been that rapid. That's complete. It's not possible, Marcus said for the 100th time, but his tone had changed from denial to wonder. The foal pranced back to its mother, clearly pleased. Luna nickered proudly, and Sarah caught what looked like understanding in the mare's eyes. Perhaps Luna had always known her baby would be special. Perhaps that's why the pregnancy had lasted so long, why the birth had felt so different. As afternoon approached, the foal did something new. It walked to where Sarah and Marcus sat observing and stopped directly in front of them. Up close, its eyes held depths that seemed ancient despite its youth, wisdom wrapped in innocence. The baby reached out with its muzzle, touching Sarah's outstretched hand. The contact sent warmth through her entire body, not just physical, but emotional. Every worry, every fear seemed to dissolve. In their place came certainty. The world needed this foal, and it was her job to protect it until it was ready. "We keep you safe," she whispered, "until you're strong enough to do whatever you were meant to do." The foal nickered softly, then pranced back to its family. Storm approached his offspring, and they touched foreheads in what had become their daily ritual. Each time, the stallion stood a little taller afterward, as if receiving strength from his remarkable child. As the sun began its descent, painting the mountains in warm light, the Mustang band moved together toward the valley's heart. The foal walked between its parents, silver coat shimmering, a star marking bright with promise. Sarah knew their lives had been forever changed. She had come to document a rare bloodline's continuation, but had instead witnessed something that transcended genetics. This foal wasn't just special. It was necessary. A reminder that nature still held miracles, that connection between species was possible, that healing could come in the most unexpected forms. The mountains seemed to embrace the small family as they disappeared over the ridge. But Sarah knew they'd return tomorrow, and she'd be waiting, guardian of a secret, protector of a miracle. Witness to hope, reborn on for delicate hooves. Some stories, she realized, weren't meant to be fully understood, only cherished and protected. If this incredible story touched your heart and reminded you that miracles still exist in our natural world, please subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to believe in the extraordinary. Again, every week, we bring you real stories that prove nature still holds secrets beyond our imagination. Leave a comment below about a time you witnessed something in nature that defied explanation. We read every single one. And remember, sometimes the most powerful magic comes in the smallest packages, carrying the biggest promises. Until next time, keep your hearts open to the miracles around you.